So I am here. This is Julie Santiago, and please help me welcome the amazing and beautiful Dolores, who is like 40 weeks pregnant, 39 weeks right now, which you can't see. So we were chatting and I was like, hang on, before we keep chatting, let's just go live so that you can share what you're about to share. And then I'm going to ask you questions through this whole process. So you were about to say something and I just wanted to hit the record button so other women could hear what you were about to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much again for having me. This is amazing. I was about to share that I've been promoting your program in my network. And so this is just like an added boost to be able to share with other women what a transformative experience it is. And I was also going to say, I remember the first day I signed up, you then left me a recording. And Julie, I swear to God, I felt like I was like, oh my gosh, Julie Santiago was talking to me. Like it felt so personal and so welcoming. It was just, it felt like the right move from day one.
I love that. I love that. I want to ask you some questions about that later, because it doesn't always feel like the right move. It can feel like making a decision like this can feel super scary. But what I want us to do before we talk about all that is I know that you have made like some absolutely mind-blowing shifts since you came inside of this program, right? The whole team and I were celebrating you before you graduated from the program. So why don't you share with everybody when you graduated? So when did you graduate?
June 3rd of last year. So I leveled up a year ago.
Okay. Amazing. Y'all, a year ago, this woman celebrated, she graduated a year ago and things are still amazing. So yeah, I would love for you, I want you to give us a snapshot of where your life is right now. And I've got some notes from what you shared with us too. So where is your life right now? Mm-hmm. And then we're going to talk about where it was, you know, almost a year and a half ago before you signed up for the program. So will you share that? Where are you now? What's life look like?
Well, obviously right now maternity leave has started, but prior to that, I've been so excited about the work that I've been doing in the job that I had when I joined the program, that I was like, absolutely, I don't think I could do this. This is too much. I work sort of like my own hours, to be honest. And so it feels like I have a lot of balance to be with my family, as well as to just do the impact that I need to do at work. The impact is being recognized magically. Like all these partnerships across the different functions of the company like started reaching out to me, and like things just were so much easier and so much lighter, and so I was like excited to go on maternity leave, but also a little sad that I had to like leave the things that I was doing, which like would have never thought of that before. Oh no, I lost your audio.
That's okay. That's because I muted myself. I didn't want to interrupt you, but let me just unmute myself so I can respond. So this is so amazing and it's incredible. So in the past year since you graduated from the program, you've reduced your work hours
significantly.
Like, give us an idea of what that means. Like, what would you say?
I mean, I was working 18 hours a day before the program. Yeah.
18 hours a day.
Between 12 and 18, sometimes mostly 18. Now I start my day like at 10 a.m. when I start meetings, because I'm in Colorado and most of the companies in California. And then I would say around like 3 p.m. if my meetings are over and I've done my job, like I sign off and I'm okay with that.
Okay, wait a second. So just like check, because the people are going to think this is absolutely crazy. You went from working 12 to 18 hours a day, and now you're working about 5-ish, 6 hours a day. You choose your schedule. You've reconfigured your role so that you actually enjoy your work now. Right? You're making a bigger impact. You're working less. You're getting recognized and promoted. And you are working, like, that's mind blowing. Okay. So I know everybody's going to want to know how you did that. Okay. So we're going to talk about that in a sec. Okay. We'll talk about some of the things that you implemented that we taught that led you to that. But let's talk a little bit more about where you were and you're pregnant and you're about to have your baby, right? There's that, and you're about to go on maternity leave and like, you're excited, right? But you're also like, it's not like, oh my God, I have to get some maternity leave so I can have a break from my job. There's also a part of you that's actually learned how to really enjoy your work because you're not overworked anymore.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you already gave us a little bit of a glimpse of where you were before. So we know you were working anywhere from 12 to sometimes 18 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
What else was happening because of that? So where were you before? In addition, like what was happening in your life because your work was spilling over into everything like that?
Definitely a baby conversation was not part of our life with my husband and I, just because I didn't have time for me, obviously didn't have time for us. And so the conversation of a baby was like, it's just not going to work. Right. Which was so crushing at that time. Also, there was just a lot of personal shifts happening. So I lost my home to a fire. When the pandemic started, I started this new role, ended up moving from California to Colorado. So there was just a lot of like major life changes happening all at once. And I remember feeling like, okay, my work is the only stable thing that I can hang on to, and felt like my worth was attached to my work because it was like the only thing I could control at that moment.
Yep. That's huge.
Yeah. So I was miserable. I was tired, exhausted, cranky, didn't really want to do the things that I wanted to do. I don't think I even knew what it is that I wanted to do. Like I had forgotten what brought me joy. So obviously I was numbing through Facebook one day and I saw your beautiful face and I was like, this is very interesting. So I signed up for a call. And it just like, it was perfect. Like I was looking for something that would not just hit like the checklist of what to do to end burnout, but mostly how do I live a life that I want to live. I wanted a holistic approach, and that's the sense I got from your program. So I signed up, and then like a few weeks later through coaching, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a leave from work. I took a 2-month leave to really focus on the program, and everything else is history. Like it's just been an amazing journey.
This is so phenomenal. I mean, this is huge. So you were numbing on social media, which like all of our women are like scrolling and you found us, which is awesome. We'll talk about that step in just a sec. But you were feeling really miserable, really irritable. You were working all the time. You were finding your worth in your work.
Mm-hmm.
So that means like there's no amount of work that we can do that's ever going to make us feel worthy. But you were trying, as so many of our women do. The baby conversation couldn't even be on the table. Was your relationship being impacted? Health, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, health for sure. Depression was at its highest, even with medication. I was just so sleepy and so tired all the time. And I could feel my productivity just dipping at work. So despite being at work 18 hours a day, I was making so many mistakes,
right?
Because I just wasn't there. And my husband kept saying, like, where are you? Like, we're working from home together, but I really don't spend time with you because you're stuck to the computer the entire day. So definitely we started couples counseling at that time. And then I just realized like I needed to shift something in me as well.
Yeah. I think this is so, we see this so much, right? And I know you saw this with the other women who were in the program. It's like you weren't present for the relationships. Your health was suffering. It's like you're working 18 hours a day. You think because you're working more, you're going to be more productive, but it's actually the opposite. So you weren't being productive at work. Like there was so much that was on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Had you tried anything before you found us, Dolores? Like,
yeah, I mean, I have an executive coach, and she's wonderful. But while the day-to-day like helps, I hadn't found anything that got to the root of the problem. And your program did that for me. Therapy was another thing that I was trying. Again, it was like ways to cope, but nothing that would get to like what actually triggered this overachiever, this people pleaser. And that was a huge difference for me.
Yeah. I thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of women may resonate with that, especially like other executive women. It's like, okay, I've done the therapy route, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've got an executive coach, but it's not actually like it may feel good, right? Like feels good. It may feel good, right? But there was still something in you that was seeking. And I wonder, you mentioned it, but I just want to ask it in a slightly different way. why do you think that you were doing therapy and you were doing executive coaching, but you were still looking for something else? Because the problem obviously wasn't solved by therapy and executive coaching. What is it that those things were missing that our program gave you?
Exploring who I was before I was a professional in this life, like exploring my trauma, going back and hugging my little girl, my inner child, getting to know, I mean, there was moments in coaching where I was like, I thought I hated ice cream, but I actually really loved ice cream as a kid. Like, how did I even forget that? I had dismembered so many pieces of myself to fit into this role. And I think there's a pressure of like being a woman in corporate, being a woman of color, the cultural piece, the immigrant piece, all these things collided together. And I just never had the chance to explore who I was. I needed to wake up, which is the whole thing of your program, right? That was the part that was missing, getting to the root of like what caused me to be an overachiever. At what moment did I feel I needed to do that in order to survive? And it was helpful at that time, but it wasn't helpful anymore. So yeah.
Dolores, like what you're saying is so powerful, and I'll repeat it, then I'll ask you another question. So I think it's so huge that you said that those things, therapy, executive coaching. We have women who, you do yoga classes, have read all the books, have even done other coaching programs, but they're not actually built by women for women, specifically executive, high achieving professional women. And like, I get this because I've been in your shoes. Like, I didn't build a company because I wanted to build a company. I built this program because this was the path that I walked to move myself out of burnout into freedom. And so you said something that was so powerful, which is I didn't know who I was. And I had discarded all these parts of myself because I thought I needed to be X, Y, and Z to fit into a male dominated world, to fit into the corporate world, not only as a woman, but as a woman of color. And there are all these pieces of you that you had pushed away. And so it sounds like the question I was going to ask you is, do you remember the first thing I told you to do? And did it seem batshit crazy to you? Right? Like, what did you think about it? Did you think it was going to work? And you kind of mentioned this, like looking at the discarded parts of you. And I want to say something to all of you who are watching that are like, what does that even mean? Right? Because I mean, if I had told you that a year and a half ago, that that's what you needed to do, what would you have thought?
Why? Like, I've gotten to this place because I let go of those pieces, right? I'm successful because I'm this renewed person, a renewed professional. So it seemed like revisiting the past was not going to be helpful, but that was exactly what I needed.
Yeah, we don't talk about this a lot in these client spotlight interviews. And I think this is so important. And I'll kind of peel back the curtain a little bit, that our methodology is really divided into 3 parts. And one of them is, the first is remember who you are. Remember who you were before the world told you needed to be somebody else in order to succeed, right? The second is reclaiming your power, right? Which is standing in front of us today, like that is done, right? It's an ever evolving process, but like you were there. And then the third is redesigning your life, right? That's really the 3 stages that our methodology is broken into. And the remembering who you are piece, right, is really for those women who have checked all the boxes of success and still don't feel happy.
Yeah.
It's like,
and that's me. Yeah.
Me too. We lose our spark. We lose ourselves. And so remembering is so important. And I just love that you spoke to that so much. And what a gift to do before you bring this baby into the world, right? What a gift.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like knowing that I'm cutting generational trauma, that I'm working on myself so that my daughter doesn't have to go through this, or at least it's a little bit easier. I can facilitate that path for her, is just such a gift.
The greatest gift. It's so beautiful. So, okay, we have an idea of where you are today. We have an idea of what happened right away. And I would love to know if you can pull out maybe like what the big takeaways are you want everyone listening to know or to understand. And you can even think about this, like if you were talking to you a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, what do you want them to know about this journey?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so many things, but I think the things that are always top of mind for me are surrender. Surrender was a big lesson for me because I had such a tight grip on everything of what I thought I needed to be. And surrendering to just be who I felt I could be was huge. You've also instilled a lot of trusting in the process and trusting in yourself, including feeling your feelings, right? Well, that was one of the pieces where I was trying to numb my feelings and I was skipping that healing process for myself. That was huge. And then one of the things I had to constantly remember is if you resist, it persists. And sometimes the obstacle in the way is the way, right? There's something that you need to learn. So there's all these quotes from the program, and I consistently go back and rewatch a lot of the modules and do the hypnotherapies and meditations. And so that's what's continuing to keep me grounding. I know there's so much more that I need to do and continue to work on, but it feels right. It doesn't feel as scary as it was maybe a year ago.
Right. Because it sounds like you've really learned this new way. It's not as scary as it was a year ago. It's not as dire, right? You have completely redesigned your life, right? In alignment with who you are and what you want. I think one of the things that I'm hearing you say so much is like, you're talking about a lot of the things that we teach inside of the program that are these holistic approaches, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's also this part in the program where it's like, we're going to get down to it and we're going to like plan your life. And this is how you set boundaries. And this is how you, right, have hard conversations. And, and it mixes these things, right? It mixes these things so beautifully. And I think that you just spoke to some of the core of that. And if you were to say to anybody who's watching this, they just come across a random, who's Julie? What is this work? Who are we doing? What is this company? Like and you found the ad and you watched our webinar and then you booked a breakthrough call, right? And that was the first step you took to all of these amazing changes that you're talking about. But there was a moment, there were decision points you had to make. Number one, you booked a breakthrough call. Number two, you got on the phone. And then you said, yes, I'm going to draw a line in the sand and I'm going to learn this way. But there were a lot of points along the way where you could have bailed. You could have gotten scared. You could have not followed through. You could have talked yourself out of it. So how would you talk to a woman who's like, is this legitimate? Should I do this? Is it worth it? Like all those scary thoughts that come up when they come up when we're on the verge of life-changing decisions. What would you want to say to her?
I think the difference, Julie, for me, because obviously other ads pop up on Facebook, right, of like other coaching programs. The first thing that I noticed that I would love to share with everyone is like, Julie feels real from the first moment. It didn't feel like it was a gimmick, at least for me, it didn't feel like it was a gimmick to get my money. I knew I was going to have to pay. I just didn't know how much, right? But I felt your energy felt so trusting and like you were leaning to a path of peace rather than a path of marketing. Like to me, that's the sense I personally got. I'm big on visualizing. And so the breakthrough call like totally got me because that's exactly what I needed to visualize myself on the other side of the river. For those of you that don't know what that is, like I won't spoil it because it's
book
amazing.
A breakthrough call. You will experience.
Yeah. That was like fantastic and phenomenal. And I remember as I was doing the breakthrough call, I was like, all right, she's going to get to a number, right? And how much am I prepared to pay? And when Erin finally got to that number, I was like, this is the best investment I could have ever done. Like my master's degree is worth shit. This is actually calling me to take the leap and invest in myself in a way that feels true to who I am. And that's actually calling my heart. So yeah, it was a no-brainer. Like I automatically did it. I came out to my husband and I was like, I just did this thing. And he's like, okay, All right.
Great. And what does he say now about that investment?
He loves it because I think a lot of the learnings I am also transferring to him every time he's like out of focus or he's too much in the male or too much in the female, like just that balance. And so he appreciates the learnings that I have from you because now I can somehow transfer them through my own energy.
He gets all the borrowed benefits. So lucky, so lucky. You know, I think what you said, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then we'll wrap up, is so powerful. Like, you're like, I have a master's degree, right? And we hear this so much, right? It's like, we don't think twice about investing in college or in a graduate degree, in a master's degree, in a law degree, you know, like whatever it is. We don't think twice about like buying a home that we're that we take out a huge loan for.
Yeah.
But when it comes to investing in ourselves, women hit up against a lot of fear, right?
Yeah.
Who am I to spend this money? Shouldn't I have this already figured out yet? Right? Should I not invest? Should I save this for somebody else? Should this be, it's like, there's all this stuff that comes up. And I love that you said, like, the best investment I could ever make is in me.
Yeah.
And at the time of filming this video, I've been talking a lot about this with our alumni and some of the women who are still in the program. It's like, we think our graduate degrees are a good investment. Not really. It's kind of a gamble, right? Stock market, also a gamble. Crypto market, also a gamble. 401k, also a gamble. All these things are gambles. But the one thing that is the greatest investment that can never be taken away is ourselves.
Just in you.
Right?
Absolutely.
So thank you for standing for that, for yourself, for all the women listening and watching, for your future little kiddo and family. And I'm just so grateful that you're in our world and that our paths crossed, and really honored to have spent this time with you. And yeah, thank you. And I want to just like do a quick high level for everybody. If you're just joining us, or if you want to just quick recap, Dolores came to us almost a year and a half ago. She was working 12 to 18 hour days. She was exhausted. She was angry. She couldn't even, her and her husband were arguing. They were about to start couples therapy. She couldn't even think about having a baby. Okay. Fast forward a year and a half later, we're talking to you in your car, which is amazing. You are
There's fire alarm testing happening.
Let's talk about it. It's like Thursday, no big deal. We're having this conversation in the middle of your workday because now you're literally starting work at 10 a.m. and most days you're finishing at 3 p.m., 5 hours a day. You're building your own schedule. You're getting more acknowledgement and praise at work. You and your husband are amazing. You're about to welcome your first child into the world like any day now, right? And beyond all of that, your worth is no longer attached to your work. And that's freedom.
So much. So much.
So Julie, watching, if you want these results like Dolores, first step, same step Dolores took, book a breakthrough call.
Yeah.
You just go to juliesantiago.com/apply. You're going to book a time on one of our calendars. You'll answer some quick questions, and then you're going to have this amazing call. And Dolores alluded to this. We take you through this super cool exercise where you actually get to see what your life is going to look like a year from now on the other side of all of this. So thank you, Dolores. You were going to say something. Finish up and take us home.
Just thank you, Julie. Really, whoever's listening, if you're on the fence, like do this. It's transformative. I am so happy. I know we talk about level 10 life, and you have some alumni programs that I'm excited to join after I'm done with this baby situation. But it's the best thing I could have ever done for myself, professionally and personally. So I just want to thank you, Julie, for the amazing tools and this amazing program. Really, you're such a gift, and it's such a blessing to be able to work with you. So thank you.
I'm honored. I love you. I will see you. I can't wait to celebrate that baby. You better post a picture in the group whenever it comes through, and just know that I'm here cheering you on always. So I'll see you in the alumni group and beyond, and just love you so much. Thank you, Dolores.
Love you too. Everybody. Bye.
Bye.